7 minutes.
Can you just close that browser, or no, was it already closed?
Yeah.
Okay, as long as it's logged out.
Yeah.
I did my job.
That MOU requirement.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I see, it's.
Thank you so much for your help.
Hey, no problem. Thank you all. He's already on.
What's up, AV guy?
Let's see.
Just like my mom's.
Can I see the chat? Yeah. See. This is what we're saying. And then if you want to do.
This is gonna be all day, Mom. Yeah. You can vacuum at lunch.
Somebody online on the live stream got mute somebody at their house probably.
We use everybody.
Well, that's somebody on this mic system in the hotel. Oh, that might be interesting. Should I take this to that? And that way I can just ask. I'll raise my hand. Yeah, unless it's a hard one. We don't want none of that going on.
Oh my gosh, buddy, I made that number.
How long do I have to start? 2 minutes. Yes. Well, we can turn up the volume here if we need to. But they all seem to be okay. Watch is dead too. Start 2 minutes.
Where's the stand for?
I'll tell you.
Some guy trying to shoot me there. I don't- that was the first there. The very first one. That was the last one out of the field. So we got one.
So where would you want me to heckle you from?
Here over there.
Just set up here and there. Can't get away from it.
So,
Huh?
Or just
Your bio is good.
Do you want to, you can kind of put him and talk over your video or just not play it? Do you want to say anything before we launch it?
Yeah, just talk about.
Okay, that's fine. We just gotta click it. Can you see it? You hear?
It's 9 o'clock. If you all are ready, I think we're ready. Today's presentation is on efficiency boosters and ORD, given by Patrick Stone, Jason Littleton, and myself, Therese Wimsatt. Patrick has worked with KYTC for 19 years in design. Patrick has over 20 years of experience in design of roadways, standards, and design software support. Patrick is a 1991 graduate of Kentucky Tech, where he claims he obtained a BS in BS. Patrick is married and has 3 boys. Jason has worked with American Engineers in the roadway design group for 6 years. He is responsible for development of roadway designs and preparation of contract plans for a variety of clients, as well as establishing best practices for working within Open Roads Designer for AEI. Prior to him joining AEI, he spent 6 years working at the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet in the developmental branch. All told, he has over 15 years experience in roadway design. Most notably, Jason was the lead modeler on the initial KYTC pilot project to have the contractor use the design model. I am a graduate from the University of Kentucky. I'm a Louisville native who has been with American Engineers for 5 years. My duties include laying out alignments, corridor modeling, including drainage design and analysis, as well as plan set coordination. I've been working in ORD for over a year and I'm one of the leaders for diving in and learning the challenges to the modeling process from previously used inroads. Hand it over to Patrick.
Morning. Like I said, I'm Patrick Stone. We're going to be talking about efficiency boosters. They're going to show you some efficiency boosters. I'm going to bore you with some slides. So I'm sure they're going to save all kinds of time, and hours are going down according to Jason.
oh.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, we're probably gonna have more content than we got time. So the way we're gonna do this, I'm gonna run through a few slides. Then I'll turn it back over to Therese. She'll run through her part of the presentation, and Jason, then I'll come back on at the end and show some of the efficiency boosters that we've got. Any of them that we don't get posted or get to display today, we'll put on our YouTube channel, and I'll show you the link to that later. Okay, let's talk about a few efficiency hurdles. One thing we all need to stop doing is using SS2 workflows in ORD. We get a lot of support calls, and regularly we see designers trying to use what we used to do in SS2.
You weren't thinking too hard, were you? You weren't thinking, were you?
Not really liking that, so.
No.
A kick out of that. Okay. Sorry about the long train of thought. Okay, and we need to stop using the cross sections to design, like we did in SS2. You know, we're supposed to be doing model-based design now. We still see a lot of people going in and trying to edit these cross sections, and it causes a lot of problems downstream. You know, you get a lot of graphics in your cross sections that are basically saved views, and you can't you can't pass that on downstream to our end users. And then another thing that we see is the using the old SS2 templates and not properly converting them for ORD. What you'll get is inconsistent like point names, and the way these annotation groups are set up to display your quantities and annotations. Not using the standard point names and templates. Just like I was saying before, it just causes annotation issues. Okay, and I'm gonna tell, this is a new sheet border. This has been approved from the State Highway Engineer's Office. So we're released those in the last 2 releases of CAD standards. The main reason for this change is to align with the drawn boundaries, as well to get a little more usable space up on the sheet border. And one thing I do want to point out is the graphic scales on here. As you can see, those, we had to pick one to put in there because the plan sheet is a one size fit all. You can put any scale on there, 20, 50. So we picked the 50 scale as the graphic. That at this point, that doesn't automatically update. So your sheets will be 20 scale, but it's still going to say 50. We're open to suggestions on that. We were going to just make it blank or put question marks down there so you can edit it. But we thought it would be better to place a scale in there so we could hit, you know, most of the time what you're going to be doing. So you don't have to go into every sheet seed and edit those. So we're open to suggestions on that. I wanted to point out the pipe sheet seed for the profile. Now, this is made for SUDA, and Robert Garrett has been doing some training for us on the SUDA, and this is where we're going to start doing our pipe sheets. They've been a little problematic in the past, and we've got a little system to make these now. This is the first of different scales that'll come, but this one's included in the class. Okay, and I'm going to turn it back over to Therese.
So this first video I'm going to play is just kind of an overview of the 3 different types of models within a DGN, your design model, your drawing model, and your sheet model.
So I'm going to open up my plan sheet again. The first thing here with my black background. This is my design model. And down here I look at the models. This key here, little icon, is for any design models. box with a green circle. This design model is housing all my references, sheets, plan sheets. I've attached things such as my geometry, corridor, right of way, existing topo. All of those are referenced here, but actually what's in this sheet is nothing more than references. And then you can see these are my main boundaries for my sheets. But all of the line work is just coming from references. So that's kind of your first view, your design model. Next model, I'm going to switch into that's your gray icon over here. And this is your drawing model. That. You can see this one has gray background. And what's in here, it's intended, this is from the same DVN, just a different model, my reference. And if I were to turn that off, you'd see all of my geometries, corridors, right of way, topo, all is turned off. And only what is active in this drawing model is text, annotations, instructions, north arrow, all of this is active in this model. Then the last view in this CGN also is the sheet view, where again, it's all coming from a reference from my, this time instead of the default model, it's my drawing model, that's references here. Live testing set up so that we're going, live tested a few models deep. If I were to turn off this reference, all that's in here is my sheet board. And this one has the white background. The white icon over here. So that's just kind of an overview of the three different models within this one VGA.
So that wraps up that first video. That's just an overview of those three different models. The next video I have kind of just talks about auto annotation. You can use that for center lines. That's what I do in this. In this video is for center lines and right of way annotation, varying distances.
I'm going to go through a few different auto annotations. I'm going to start with is my center line. That's coming from a reference. And all of our auto annotations are set up based on the feature definition. So you can see I selected this line, it's giving me this is my property window. The feature definition is set to 2 yards and around 50 scale. So based on what your feature definition is, it's going to determine when you go on the drawing production tab, element annotation. That's going to determine what kind of annotation you get based on the feature definition. Drop down and you can see elements. And that's going down here, my lower left. Locate elements, and then what you located, we're set to complete. And you can see that I got all my center line annotation stations, bearings, your PC, PT, your curve data, all placed in this DGM. Even though my geometries are actually referenced in, the text is active in the CGN3 run your annotation. That is for Cinnamons. Another thing you can use your element indentation on is right away. So some of mine I've already had my shapes set up. And you can see they are geometry, they have this dynamic. So you can click on and edit if you need to. I'm going to show you how I created that shape and then how to. So how I normally start is I come into a drawing and I want to create a region. So my method by flood. I've already selected my element template that I want to use. I will use my working right away line. So I just want to flood this. I have all my references on, there's my existing, and there's my post, and I just want to flood this area. So from in there, and now I have a shape. You can see that it is different than the shape over here. It's missing these variances. So I get that. And so we'll come over to the geometry tab. And then the design elements. Create rule feature. This window, and again, your feature definition is setting all your auto limitations. So that's critical to get the correct limitations, to get the correct feature definition. For my right of way, I'm going to select under alignment. There are working levels. You are working easement, and you are working right of way line. So since this track is for right of way, I'm going to select right of way. And then it's just asking me to locate elements. So I'm going to locate that shape I just created. And we're set to complete. Now, if I come in and select the shape, it looks different than it did before. It has these fields with it. And then you can also see on your property revenue, it's on a level that's different than what our actual proposed right-of-way level is. It's on kind of ROR construction level. But feature definition is right away line. Featuring, you can change that if you wanted to. One. For everyone. We have our shape ready to handshake. We saw that definition. Feature definition is how we'll go up and use the same tool. Annotation. Select shape. And then through this properties are there. This is this around. Once these two overlap, there's enough work. There already has this on the right away level. Using our annotation. We have 20 step sheets. That's what they look like. Something I would be careful of is to kind of put in so that others have seen the proposed right line. Sheet as well. And use this tool to be careful that after you see the piece, and it's good to match out. We have had it happen with you know, existing text, template. And you can see that change on the level that is on preliminary annotations. These are just text. You can change items. These are the you will just have to a little bit. But if something changed with the shape that you wanted to reuse the whole track and your element annotation, there's also remove the element. Come in, select whatever element was included, regular track, similar, those set to complete, and it's remove those annotations.
So that's just a little bit on, element annotation. There are multiple uses for it, but that's just two of them. And then the last video I have is just on work set properties, on how this, for your sheet, how the county and the item number are driven by the work set properties and how to update those. They're going to automatically update in your sheet.
For our sheets, this info in the top right, the county and the item number. These are being auto-generated from the work set properties, which you can find. File, close. Click here. To edit those properties. Here. And you can add a custom property. Property lines. The sheets are looking for the item number in the county here. So these zeros are added and I'm going to all. Back here. Hit OK. There's change. And then I'll hop back into the sheet. And you can see that item number now no longer has those two zeros.
So that's it for the work set properties. Next, I believe, is Jason's videos.
Or
That's not too.
All right, so what we're going to show you today, and would love to do a live demo, but trying to do it on Zoom, and just to make sure for time efficiency, went on ahead and created these videos. But we've got Civil AccuDraw is a pretty powerful tool with open roads, especially with the design, more so than the plan production. But got a quick video, and I apologize, I went a little fast with it, but Patrick had just mentioned about posting these videos to the YouTube link later so y'all can reference them. But I wanted to get everything in, so. Okay, by now, I'm sure you probably figured out the old entrance track is now called Analyze Point. You can get to it a number of ways. So it's here. I can track along my line. Another quick way to get to that is actually hitting the F11. So if I just go, see, I don't have anything there. At F11, it then activates that Analyze Point tool. What it also does is it turned on my Civil AccuDraw. You see it, I've got it docked down here. But Civil AccuDraw is a very powerful tool that you can use in your drafting and design workflows. Help you get the job done a little bit quicker. So you can see down here right now, I've got Civil AccuDraw turned off. I can toggle it on. It shows up as a darker blue square. So I'm going to only cover a handful tools within Civil Act Draw here, just because we don't have a whole lot of time. But the first one, you'll notice that the tools, when you're working in the plan view versus when you're working in a dynamic profile view, actually change. You have different tools available depending on where you're working. So in plan view, the most powerful one that I've come across, the most useful one in day-to-day work is the station offset. So, and that does exactly what it says it does. So down here, station offset, what I can do is say, if I'm laying out my right of way, I can come in here and say, I want this to be at this particular station and this particular offset, and just go through and put those right-of-way breaks in there. Okay. If I wanted to come off of, say, this approach, you see right now I'm kind of going along my main line. If I just hit the O key, that should pull up a prompt that says, hey, select the reference. The good thing here is it didn't, so I can show you another trick. So if you have this happen where it doesn't prompt you for that reference, just hit the tab, put the O in the next box. There you go. There's my reference. And now you can see I'm tracking along there. I've locked my station, but I can punch in whatever I need there. Okay. The other thing is, if you're in a drawing model and you try to do that analyze point, you get this message saying you can't do that in the drawing model. A way around that, toggle on your Civil Act Draw and come in here and let's set our reference element by hitting O. And that wasn't the right one, but I can select it again. And there you can see I've got my station and offset in my drawing model. So if you need to do something in the drawing model, this is where you can do those station offset plans as well. So now back in profile view, you can see with this dynamic profile active, you can see these tools that change. So now I have, I'm going to cover the elevation, which is really kind of station elevation, and then slope, which is really station and slope to help lay out these profiles. So first one that I'm going to show is the slope. What I like to use for, I like to keep my vertical PIs at even stations, and I like to keep my grades at even slopes to the extent possible. So with the Civil Act Draw, what I can do is I can key in my station and what I want my slope to be, and Open Roads will draw that for me. So the other option that I was going to show you is the station elevations. Say I wanted to control, say, a top of a sound wall to a specific elevation. So maybe I've got something that I need to put in here for these residences here. So I can come in here and say, I need my sound wall to start at 113.40, and the elevation that's going to be 465 at the top. And it'll need to go over to 124.25. So there I just placed 0% slope. So it's 465 on one end and the other. Whatever you need to do station and slope or station and elevation in your profile, those are some pretty powerful tools. So I hope that you found these helpful, and hope that you'll dig into Civil Act Draw a lot more. It can really help speed up your production. Yeah, so Civil Act Draw is a very powerful tool. Like I said, just covered a handful of the tools there, but dig in and try to get proficient with those, and you'll be you'll find that they're very helpful when you're designing your project. The next one is more plan production based, but something we found very powerful is using the place table tool, and it's actually available in just MicroStation Connect, but also where ORD is running on top of MicroStation Connect or the same background information, you still have access to that. So go through this, just go through a couple little hiccups with the tables that you may have run across and how to navigate through it.
So a nice enhancement to the Connect edition of the product is the ability to pull information from an Excel table directly into MicroStation brackets. What we've gone ahead and done is we have created various spreadsheets for instruction boxes. You can see one here on my screen to house the data, and then we can paste it directly into MicroStation or ORD. One note of warning, go ahead and do as much of the formatting for your table in Excel as possible, because when you go and refresh the data later on, it wipes any formatting that you've done in open rows and reverts back to what's set in Excel. So just trying to set it up as much as you can here so that you don't have that continually getting wiped. Another note of warning when setting these up is be aware of using mixed font heights in these tables. This will likely cause your table to come in with headers and nothing else, or nothing at all. So just keep that in mind when you have these tables that you're going to place. So what I'm going to do, I'm in a drawing model, and I'm going to place a table for a ditch construction node. Okay, so what you should do is actually set your element template first. So you want to select these element templates really drive a lot of the symbology where they can. They're set up to do that. So I'm going to do my ditch in plan view, and it's going to set my level, color, line, style, line, weight, all that stuff for me. It's set up in that element template. In case you haven't heard by now, KYTC is in the process of updating level naming to be more intuitive to users beyond design. So think about construction of right of way, or even into GIS and maintenance. So level names here are going to change. But if you're selecting things by element template, it's not going to affect your workflow, because the element templates are going to point to the levels for you. You don't have to remember to set it to a particular level. So to get to the place table tool, it's under drawing, annotate, and there's place table right here. And I like to do the from file. And like I said, we've got those Excel tables set up. What I'll have to do is you can turn on title row or header row. I'm also going to browse to the file, and here's my ditch construction node. And you can see here that I can either bring in a specific range, or I can bring in the entire table by using automatic. So I'm going to select this worksheet tab here and select automatic. Automatic is going to give me flexibility in adding information to this table later on. If I selected manual and said I wanted A1 through F9, if I needed to add a row, I don't get that 10th row. So I would have to place the table all over again. So I'm going to do automatic. I've got just that table information in my in that worksheet tab, hit OK. And here you can see my ditch construction table. So one thing you want to be aware of is that when this gets placed, you can see the table right there. When it gets placed, you need to come in here and turn off this fill. If you do not do that, your table's going to print out on your plan sheet as a big black box, and that won't benefit you or anybody else. So it's a minor inconvenience. It's supposed to be addressed in future versions of the software. But for now, keep up with that and make sure you turn that off. Tables are super convenient for summaries. The only downside is the amount of time it takes to actually place a table with that much data. What we've been doing is maintaining the summary tables in Excel and placing them into DGN after most of the anticipated changes have been made. So here we can see we've got a running general summary table. And what we do is we put all our information in here and we carry it over to additional tabs as needed, so we can place those tables in smaller chunks to improve the speed with which they get placed. So if I wanted to place that table again, I'm going to set my element template, and then go and place my table. So with this one, I may have a title row, may have a header row, and I want to select my spreadsheet. So now that I've got this pulled up, I can place this general summary tab in here, and it's going to give me a message that, hey, you've got a lot of data in here. You want to preserve the formatting. It'll take a while. Otherwise, we can strip the formatting and it'll be a lot quicker. But I want to keep the formatting that I've got set up in Excel. And here you see my table. I can place that. Come in here, turn off my fill. And you see the table just disappears. Because that's the downside of having a black text on a black background. So what you can do, you can just put something behind it on the default level, something that's not going to apply. Okay. So that you can see your data.
Okay, so. All right, so that was the video on tables. Again, really powerful. You can actually have that one running general summary. You can place that all as one and break it into subsequent tables. The more data you have in there, the more time it's going to take to place. And it appears that every time you go and make a change to it, it acts like it wants to process it all over again. That's why with the summaries, we have tended to save those to the very end. As far as getting them on the plan sheet, we still have the Excel file that we can go through and verify everything on. But we're not, if we needed to change something, we'd have to go through, sit there, wait for it to update before we could get it actually in there, then turn the fill off. And it just kind of it's an inconvenience, absolutely, but it's a good improvement. I like it. So there's a lot more power to it than having somebody go in and just key in all those values. You've got it right there in Excel. Most of us are probably more familiar with that than we are with putting that stuff in the table. So I'll go ahead and send this back over to Patrick to wrap us up.
Yeah, we better be quick. I think we only got a couple of minutes, haven't we, Tim? Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this cross-section annotations and template point names, annotation groups, I want to make sure that everyone knows these are, they're all related. You need to have a basic understanding how they all work in order to produce these plans. The cross-section annotations are directly linked to the annotation groups. And what we see a lot of times is people use an old template and rename the center line. Well, that center line is in an annotation group. And then we'll get calls, I can't get my center line elevation, I can't get quantities. It's because you've renamed these points. If you need to rename them, that's fine. You just need to know the relationship with the annotation group. And if you have trouble, give us a call. We'll be happy to work with you on that. I'm not going to show this video. We don't have enough time. I'll put it on our YouTube site, which is on the board here for your use. We're working to build a new website for support. I'm not going to give you time when that's going to be done. I'm going to say state fast, probably not consultant fast. And we will add these videos. I know that some people had some audio issues from the videos we were playing this morning. We'll put them on our YouTube page and list them as like partner conference, efficiency boosters. And one other thing I wanted to point out, we had a suggestion, and I think it came from Chris Smith in District 4. We've got all these workflows that you see up here, and we're going to incorporate this into our website too. But until we get that done, we're just providing links in here and organizing these. These are, all kinds of different workflows that we have. It's a good resource to go look on how to do certain things. Chris Smith and them have written several of these, especially the survey ones for important field data. And, we don't have them all formatted to be consistent yet. So they're kind of a hodgepodge of Word documents and other things, but we're just trying to get the word out on how to use it. So if you have any workflows like that, we'd be happy to stick them in here and share with other people. Just let us know what you think about them. Let's all get cleaned up with the website, but like I said, stay fast. And I want to point out that our CAD standards website. So you can go here. This is where you can get all your latest standards, when we release the standards. And, it's pretty important to keep up with what version we're using. It's on there too. But we have, if we have a schema change or something and we have changed a bunch of standards, you load them in, you're not going to see them. They're going to have to be converted. It's just easier if, you stick with the same version on your project or upgrade it. And make sure you subscribe to this listserv. That's where you're going to get any updates to the CAD standards or anything we need to send out that you need to be aware of. And with that, we'll take some questions. We're out of time. Got any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them.
Just one comment to your YouTube. I would suggest you put that on your on the CAD standards page, so that way people have a direct link to it there.
We're going to have a different page for that. There's some issues with putting it there.
Gotcha. And then regarding the tables, why were you using the element template instead of feature definition? Feature definition not work?
With it just being a microstation element, we just decided to use the element template. It should work either way because the feature definition is pointing back to the element template. But that's why I just wanted to go on ahead and set that there. And also, I didn't point it out, but there's that association lock right next to it, that if you have that toggled on when you select the element template and place the element, it will remember that link back to the template, so that if something changes to that element template, it will update those elements as well. And plus, if you're doing any kind of drafting, I wanted to go ahead and show that, go ahead and use that element template rather than setting the level, color, line, weight, line, style, all that symbology. It's all there in one place. If you can use that, it'll speed things up for you.
Long time with those tables, we've had some issues with them refreshing. So almost losing the link. I saw you had it on a local drive or Excel sheet on a local drive, and on
not seen that in what we've done so far. I'm not saying that's not an issue, but yeah, I was doing everything locally to kind of get around the project-wise wrinkle. Yeah, so far what we've done in our workflow is all in project-wise, and I don't believe we've seen any issues with that. But I'm not going to say they don't exist either.
Is there a way that you associate that to it? Like you reference that file?
Yeah, when in that, when you go to the place the place table tool, when I selected the file, the very first drop-down menu will list all the tabs that you have in your Excel sheet. So I just selected whatever ditch table for that plan sheet or whatever general summary sheet that I had to place that. And like I said, I did automatic, and I've got those tables set up so that they will fit on that sheet. So I don't have to specify a certain range, at which point I have to go and replace the table if I change something. You have a question?
Yes, are there any disadvantages to pasting the Excel as a link instead of just inserting tables and refreshing it that way?
I'm not sure if there's an advantage one way or the other. We've done it this way. We've not tried it the other way, so I can't really say that that one way is better than the other.
All
I
right,
apologize.
we're getting out of time deal here, so. Thank you all.
Thank you.